after months of Tory fumbling over Rwanda. Now it's the Labour Party's turn to try to come up with an alternative plan, because we keep asking if they don't like it. Keir Starmer called it a gimmick. What on earth could they consider doing? But according to reports today, Labour are considering a migration scheme that would see asylum seekers' claims processed somewhere else. Yeah. So will migration be the big political battle of 2024? Well, joining me now is the political editor of The Express, David Maddox. David, happy Christmas. Nice to see you.
Now, happy David, Christmas, Nana. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. David, this shock horror, Keir Starmer is now talking about processing externally. Is this a surprise to you, hearing him now appear to be touting this?
Well, the problem is it's difficult to know what Keir Starmer actually believes in and what he would actually do. You know, he announces something and usually U-turns on it within 48 hours. So, you know, this seemed to be a very strange announcement, having literally opposed every measure to try and crack down on illegal immigration over the last 2 years, really. And now they're talking about something that the Conservatives discussed a while back and Labour used to oppose. It's hard to believe that his own party would allow him to do it, but it's also hard to believe that Keir Starmer himself would actually do this anyway.
Because a year or so ago, so in April 2022, Sir Keir Starmer criticised Boris Johnson, and he called Boris's plan to do this Rwanda thing as a desperate attempt to distract the country from his law-breaking, and he described the contentious plan as unworkable and extortionate. So it does seem incredulous that he will now be appearing to back something of a similar ilk. How credible is this particular report?
Well, I mean, I have no doubt that Labour have discussed this option. I mean, the problem is that their previous solution was to do a deal with the European Union, let Brussels control illegal migration for us and give us at least 100,000 extra illegal migrants a year. Not that we'd already had enough. So, you know, it's as I say, it's difficult to know where he is on these things, but if he really is talking about offshore processing, you know, which I assume is another country, you know, which country would it be? I mean, clearly not Rwanda, but, you know, if he's really talking about that, where is it going to be? And would he really do it? It's hard to believe he would.
Well, he said that he would reverse the Rwanda plan if it has gone through when or if he becomes the Prime Minister. But then if he's prepared to do offshoring anyway, then he might as well carry on with it, because we spend a fortune.
Well, maybe the obvious solution is to do a deal with France and let us process all the claims over there and leave them in France or take them back to France. Nobody can doubt that France is a safe country, although, you know, there's a lot of question marks actually over whether Rwanda, you know, a lot of this is just prejudice against an East African country. Anyway, so I don't know. I mean, but you're right in your first point, your initial point at the start of this is going to be the big issue of the year. He knows he's got to somehow win back those old red wall seats, those old former safe Labour seats. The Conservatives know they've got to hold on to them if they stand any chance of staying in power. And migration is the big issue, whether it's legal or illegal, frankly. It's not just for small boats. It's also the fact that we let in 1.4 million people net legally in the last 2 years.
Well, he referred to the sort of Rwanda style as a gimmick, but actually in his party conference he didn't mention immigration at all. He missed it out completely. So how serious do you think he is about this?
I think it is dawning on him that this is going to be the big issue. There are two big issues in this forthcoming election, and we know it's definitely going to be next year. It's the economy, which is obviously the top issue, but immigration is now clearly the second issue. Traditionally, Labour would go with, you know, however many days to save the NHS as well. They probably will do that, but they know that that's not going to be a game changer. Dealing with this, these small boats, this illegal immigration crisis, and it really is a serious crisis, is actually going to be it. And, you know, they've got a big lead in the polls at the moment, but it's a very soft lead still, even with the struggles that Rishi Sunak's having. So he's got to come up with some answers on this question and others.
Well, it's taken them long enough to accept that this is a serious issue. And for those of us who've been called far-right and all sorts of names for daring to point it out, Nigel Farage in particular pointing out the situation, a lot of the established media were ignoring it, not mentioning it, until they realised they literally had to. Why do you think it's taken Sir Keir Starmer so long to acknowledge that this is an issue?
Well, let's face it, he leads a party that doesn't believe in immigration control of any sort. They think that anybody who talks about immigration and trying to control immigration is racist, is a fascist, and all the other nasty names that they can dream up. Working for the Daily Express, we get this sort of thing levelled at us all the time. We in GB News, I suspect, were virtually the only outlets saying anything about this for a long time. And, certainly Nigel was out there spotting the small boats months before anybody else was willing to discuss it. And, great credit to Nigel as ever for really being first on the issue, just as he was with banks and so forth. But it's, the problem with it is that it comes down to it is that Labour believes in open borders. They would happily bring in as many people as they could. They would give them a right to vote, probably, to try and bolster their vote in future elections. I mean, that's maybe a cynical take, but we see it with the Democrats, their allies in America as well. And, it's hard to believe that Starmer would do anything other than actually open up the borders, whatever he's saying now, whatever plans he's pretending to have. I mean, I've just literally just finished a piece on Starmer's U-turns. Let's remember, this is a guy who said that Jeremy Corbyn was his friend, was not anti-Semitic and would make a great Prime Minister. Within a few months of becoming Labour leader, he says that Jeremy Corbyn has no right to be in the Labour Party and should never stand as a Labour candidate again. This man can change tune very quickly.
Well, listen, David, I've got about 20 seconds left. So what do you think Keir Starmer's biggest U-turn is? You said you've written a piece about it. I'll look forward to reading it. But his biggest U-turn, in your view?
I genuinely think the Corbyn one is, but probably close to that is Brexit. Where this is a man who tried to stop Brexit, and suddenly we have to believe that he won't reverse Brexit, that he won't take us back into the EU, the single market customs union. I don't believe him personally. I know a lot of other people don't.
Yeah, brilliant. David Maddox, thank you so much. Really good to talk to you. I look forward to reading that piece. That is David Maddox. He is, of course, the political editor of The Express. He's written a piece about Sir Keir Starmer's U-turns. I'm looking forward to reading that.